Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum, boys and girls. It is Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock on the East Coast and 7 o'clock in Texas Coast. And we are here live on Periscope, and we are here live on the Tube, affectionately known as the Tube. It's YouTube, but we're here. And my wife just made an amazing dinner this evening, and so my face and fingers are all yellow from the turmeric that she used on the chicken. That's why I have the windscreen, so you can't see my face and see the leftover turmeric that's on here. But with all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the hardest working imam that I know, Imam Azhar.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to all our listeners this evening as we are approaching the century edition of our podcast. We are now in the 90s, and that's all courtesy of your cooperation, your commitment, and your weekly engagement with us, where we come together under the banner of Raw Islam with Imam Azhar, which you could find on multiple outlets from Google Play Store, iTunes, Stitcher, VennNetwork, and the lot. So you can listen to archived discussions and conversations that we've had here. And you can also engage with us on a weekly basis on ongoing conversations as they happen. So thank you for participating this evening. And without further ado, I'm going to ask Brother Carl to tell us what was the topic of discussion that our audience selected this week. Brother Carl?
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the show, or if you just didn't pay attention for the last few times I've been talking, every week up on Twitter, VennNetwork, that is our handle up there, VennNetwork, VennNetwork. Every Monday we publish a poll where you, our listeners, you, our fans, those that engage with the show, those that enjoy watching, those that just kind of creepily watch, and there's at least 2 or 3 of you that I'm talking to, you know exactly who you are. We post a poll where you get to vote, so you control the direction of the show. You control what we're going to be talking about. It really is a show for the people because you are the people and you're picking the topic. This week, the poll was Muslims and the unity of the masses. The lessons we have learned from FaceApp. And what's the deal with, and as I say almost every week, what's the deal with is my personal favorite. And that's the one I enjoy because, it's just a grab bag. You never know what could be in there. But this week, as chosen by the listeners, as you can see on your screens now, and if you can't see it, that means you're not on YouTube, and you should probably head over there and join us. You can see that it was the lessons of FaceApp is what you chose to talk about this evening. So that is going to be what we talk about tonight is FaceApp, the evil FaceApp. And I know, coming from a tech background and somebody that does digital advertising for a living, I have my personal thoughts and personal feelings on this. But this is not my podcast. This is the podcast of Raw Islam with Imam Azhar.
Well, let's be fair here. This is the name may have something on the title may have a name, but this is a collaboration of our audience, yourself and myself. So I want you to start by telling me what's on your mind in reference to FaceApp, because there was so much learned in 48 hours. Once this app came out, the amount of people that were compromised due to downloading it, the fact that people were sharing it, there's many aspects of this discussion tonight. Number one is trends, people jumping on the trend bandwagon. Number two, what's the deal with trying to look old when you fear aging? Number three, the consequences of free stuff. And number four, how technology is a double-edged sword. Carl, please, I want you to enlighten us. What's on your mind on this? Because yes, you are involved with technology quite a bit, so your word is important.
So the truth of the matter is that if the Face app was so terrible as everybody said, that I was already compromised and I was already done for, because months ago, probably a year ago, Face app did it. There was another Face app trend that was going. and it was the gender swap. And I downloaded it then, and I put it on my phone then. So when this came out, that it's a Russian company, they have your info, they've identified you, your votes are no longer safe, they're hacking the voting machines with your face app now that you're old. And to be honest, I just thought it was cool, and I jumped on the hashtag because that's what I do. But at the same time, I mean, I'm already old, and I'm just like probably a couple of days away from yelling at people in my front yard to get off my damn lawn. But that's beside the point. So initially what happened was it came out that it was a Russian-owned company. Everybody freaked. Oh, my God, the Russians have our photos. The Russians are watching us. The Russians are doing face technology. And everybody freaked out. But if you just be patient and you just wait a few minutes, there was actually some follow-up to it. And I was actually just rereading some follow-up to it. And let me see if I can pull up the article I was just reading. They were saying that it is a Russian company that does that. Let's see, Face app users. It appeared that it was overriding the iOS app settings when users had denied access to their camera roll. People reported that they could still select a photo and upload it, despite app not having permission to the photos. As we reported earlier, the latter is actually allowed behavior by iOS. So that's an Apple error. But the thing was that they're not uploading your entire camera roll to the cloud. And TechCrunch actually went back to them and said, "Why are you putting our data on Russian servers?" And the company actually came back and said, "We're not putting this in Russian servers. We use AWS and Google, and AWS is Amazon. They're using American servers, and the only thing they're uploading is the photo that you choose. They're not randomly uploading your entire camera roll. They're not uploading whatever. What happens is, because to make these changes, it takes a lot of computing power. There's a lot to it. And so what happens is you take the photo, it goes to the cloud, you make your adjustments, make me a woman, make me older, make me younger, make me whatever. And then you download it to your phone, and then you post it and get a lot of likes and shares. And then in 48 hours, it's deleted from the cloud. The reason it stays there for 48 hours is because they don't want you redoing it over and over and over again, because that takes up space on their server and it takes up computing power. And they said, we personally don't have the computing power in Russia to do this, as opposed to AWS, the Amazon servers. Amazon servers have the power to do this. That's why we use those. And anything that you upload is gone in 48 hours. So while we all bought into the Russians have uploaded your entire camera roll, that's not really what happened, and we all just need to take a breath and relax for a second.
But Carl, they didn't upload all your camera roll. Granted, that's true, but you did grant them access to your gallery, and you granted them access to the picture that you used. Isn't that concerning to anyone? Is that concerning to you, or is it just like, hey, it's free, so who cares? Like, you have to give something to get something. Is that the mentality that we're living by nowadays, or what's your thoughts?
So for me, and this is a long going conversation of how much of your privacy are you willing to give away for comfort. It's a long standing conversation, because we all know, how many times, I have an Alexa, I have a Google Home, I have all of it in my house, and I know if hold on one second. Alexa, stop. Just saying her name set her off. But
Hmm.
so what ends up happening is I'll say something in the middle of a conversation, oh, Corvettes. And through the use of technology, all of a sudden I start seeing ads for Corvettes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that is, I mean, that's essentially what I do.
That is so true. That is so true.
But it's one of these things that, are you willing to give away a little bit of your privacy for creature comforts? And when you do these things, you do it acknowledging and accepting that I'm bringing this technology into my house and I'm giving up this piece of my comfort. I'm giving this up. I know I'm going to be served ads for diapers for the next 50 years because that's the way it works. That's
Mm,
the and for me, I'm okay with that
mm,
because this is where that divide comes though. This is where it's the Spider-Man moment.
mhm.
And I know if there's anybody's listening, I may upset a few people, but with great power comes great responsibility. And what ended up happening was Cambridge Analytica. Yeah, oh, I got questions. I got questions on that, but not yet. Cambridge Analytica ended up using this technology, and Cambridge Analytica ended up using it for a very bad purpose in doing very bad things.
Mhm.
However, I have something close to their power. I have something close to their abilities. I use my skills to feed starving people in Yemen.
Mhm.
So it comes down to who's using your data, what is their drive, what is their goal, what do they want to do with it?
Money.
And again, what are you willing to compromise for? I mean, cuz listen, straight up, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because
Mhm.
I have bad knees.
Mhm.
The way my complex is laid out,
Mhm.
if my kids are not home or my kids are not being helpful, I cannot get the groceries into the house.
Mhm.
End of conversation.
Mhm.
However, if I yell at that black cylinder over there
Mhm.
and I say, I need sugar, I need milk, I need strawberries, A, it remembers, B, it'll text me, and C, I can have it brought to my front door.
Mhm.
So, and it's one of those things that, what are you willing to give up? And of course, as we're sitting here, I'm thinking, yeah, and I've actually built a VennNetwork app for the black cylinder, and people can beta test it if they want. And
Wow.
the latest episode will play for you. But it's just one of those things.
No, it's a very interesting point that you brought. That what are you willing to give up? And I think the best way to understand that for those who are not tech savvy is that you've allowed something into your house, and just like someone is in your house, and they notice your whispers or talks or anger or rage or happiness or laughs or your habits, they're in your house, so they see that, and so you can't hide it from them. In a similar fashion, your cell phone, your Alexa, your um, whatever else these gadgets and widgets and devices may be, they you've allowed them to be part of your life, and you're sharing your life with it. So truly, I think the first thing to understand, Carl, is that we have to all get off of this free model and feel that because something is free, um, we're not we got the better end of the stick per se. No, you didn't. When something is free, you lose more than you'd ever gain. Like give an example, the Muslim Pro app. A lot of people have the Muslim Pro app for the adhan and for prayer times and direction of Qibla and stuff. But they have the free version, which every time you click on something brings up an ad. Or you could purchase the whole thing for $10. And you're like, why should I purchase it for $10? But guess what? The amount of money that the forget what the maker is getting, but the amount of money and time that they're pulling away from you, marketing companies which have access to your phone, and as you said, if you talk about something, they know you may want it, and so they're going to start throwing ads on you. Like we were just talking about the laptop. I was just Googling for the latest Chromebook, and I've got even on my Facebook so many ads from from Yahoo, from Dell, and everyone else. It's crazy.
You are going to see ads for technology, laptops, and iPads and tablets probably for the next 90 days.
Sure.
And the only reason I say that in particular, and if anybody follows me on Twitter or follows me on LinkedIn, I finally achieved my advanced Google Analytics certification today. But
Wow. Congrats.
the the only reason I know is because most cookies, which is the follow you around the web, while
Mhm.
they can last up to 540 days,
Wow.
typically it's around 90 days. So you will see those ads for the next 90 days.
And could you get rid of your cookies?
Hold on. And just flipping the camera back. Yes, absolutely. You can go under settings and delete cookies, clear cookies. Now, I will tell you on Chrome, it's very easy. Just open a new tab, click the handy dandy little three buttons in the right hand corner, and go to settings and just type in cookies in the search bar, and you can delete them. But that's it. I know I tried to do it. I helped somebody the other day with Safari, and
Mm.
that was a chore. That was a chore. So
Wow.
a lot of these browsers don't make it easy for you.
Mm.
But Chrome is the easiest that I've seen. But yeah, you can delete that stuff, but just be ready to see ads for laptops and tablets for the next 90 days.
So if I'm right, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're using a free web browser, which allows you access to the world and to do whatever you want. But they then store your cookies, which they then sell off to third parties, which are advertisement companies, or they push it to them, and in return they get some incentive or something. Because at the end of the day, everyone's making money. And the thing about FaceApp, going back to FaceApp, is yeah, you didn't allow them to take all your photos or something, but you've allowed them an open door policy. It's like giving your front door key to someone and saying, hey, just keep the key on you if you ever need anything. If they do need something, they could come to you and they could come get something from you. You can get stock images, which cost money, and then you can just pick up a photo from the internet on Google, which you may assume to be free. So the point is, nothing is free in life, Carl. I think that's the one. If there's one thing that people are ignorant about when it comes to the internet or the web in general, or social media, or anything that is related to a computer, a cell phone, a smartphone, it is that nothing is free. And that goes for everything that is free. Matter of fact, the things that are so called free are actually more costly than the things that you pay for. Because when you pay for those things, the transaction is straight. They got what they wanted, you got what you wanted, and it's end of our discussion. The only thing we'll send to you are updates for that product. Whereas when it's free, you're giving everyone a key and allowing them to come into your cell phone, come into your tablet, come into your computer to analyze your lifestyle habits and trends and ways, your likes and dislikes, and create a model of who you are. And that's a work in progress. It's been going on for quite a while. But Carl, we switch over from the Face app and everything is free to our third point of the discussion tonight. What is the deal with everyone trying to do stupid stuff? Like everyone wants to look old for a second. Everyone wants to do an ice bucket challenge. Everyone wants to do like why do these things trend? Is it A, we want to look cool, or is it B, we have nothing better to do in our life?
Oh, was that an actual question?
Yeah, I want to know from you. What
No,
do you
well,
think?
for me, really, for me, it was the cool factor. That was why I did it. It wasn't that I was bored. It wasn't that I didn't have anything better to do. It was a cool factor because, like I said at the beginning, and again, working in the digital marketing sphere, I always like to play with hashtags. I like to play with trends. I like to do fun things. And let's see what happens. How does it work? Does it have other potentials? What can you do with something? But you can't do that until you test it. And yeah, I did it intentionally, knowing it was going to get likes. And I said, "Oh, look, I'll post this, and people will like me." And because I have I have low self esteem. I got that instant gratification of congratulations, people like you and people like what you do. And before I turn it back to you, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Layla.
Assalamualaikum.
She says, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Just tuning in now. She said, yeah, the cap challenge. I'm not sure what the cap challenge is. I haven't heard of that. But I know we were watching a show with dinner and the kid put like lemons in his eyes and then hot sauce in his eyes and
Whoa.
I don't know what his goal was or what he was trying to achieve by doing that, but it was something challenge. But it's instant fame, it's instant like, it's gratification, and I think part of it, I think that's really it, is because of the internet. You know,
And
go ahead.
you said instant gratification. Could you just hold on to that one?
Yeah.
Because truly, what it is, it's a result of a certain level of insecurity, and not saying that people are insecure, but the atmosphere has made everyone feel insecure. The most good-looking person's insecure, the most youngest person's insecure, the most oldest and smartest person's insecure, the richest person is insecure, and the poorest person on earth doesn't care. You know why? Because insecurity has become a trend. It's like the carrot in front of a donkey. Doesn't matter how far the donkey walks, he'll never be able to take a bite of that carrot because the carrot's always going to be hanging 1 foot in front of him. And that's exactly the trend of insecurity in our world today. The social life that we're living, the virtual life that we're living, has instilled insecurity in people of all classes and all categories across the spectrum. So first of all, Carl, I didn't know that you did the face app challenge because I thought that was a baby picture. No, I'm joking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I thought you're aging backwards. I thought you're one of those. That movie. You're just going backwards. What was the name of that guy?
Dorian Gray. Oh, Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button. You're just aging backwards. So like you're looking younger, and that's why everyone keeps on asking you for your age verification and stuff. No, I'm joking. Um, it's 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 good to feel that you're in tune with what's happening in the world and what's happening around you. It allows you to get by your day and people to have a discussion like we're having right now. But the one thing is, our fellow listeners tonight, and taking it to an Islamic perspective, is Islam in the Quran has put a lot of emphasis on personal security and privacy and ensuring that your security and safety, like ensuring that you protect your privacy, if that makes sense. In Surah Nur, the chapter of light, Allah talks about what time people can and cannot come to your room. What they need to do is knock. In our Islamic traditions, when it comes to knocking the door thrice before entering, if they don't open, then leave. Um, there is a certain framework through perimeters that have been placed for the protection of your privacy. Now, people could say, you know what? We live in a society where people change in front of each other, the same gender. You go into a gymnasium bathroom, and if they're half naked or fully naked, that's good for you, type of thing. This is not what is right. We have to be, we have to have the ability to question things, and we have the ability to call things out. Your personal privacy is private, and that's why they call it privacy. And Islam emphasizes greatly on the protection of your privacy from your body parts, your lonely time, what you do in seclusion, even bathroom. There's doors. It's a very simple concept. This is coming from an Islamic based or a religious based teaching, something that mimics from the time of Prophet Abraham all the way down. And so, really, the point that I want us to take home tonight when we talk about how gullible we are to download millions of people to download this app instantaneously and allow that app to flourish financially while they have compromised their privacy. Um, imagine someone's in your neighborhood tonight saying, "I'm going to drop $5,000 on the door, sorry, on the kitchen counter of any house on the street, but you need to have the door open for me to get there." Like, I need to go put it. Now, problem is the neighborhood you're living in is crime infested. And it's a reality, it's crime infested, and you double lock your doors. Are you gonna just leave your door unlocked and door open, anticipating that $5,000? Or are you gonna be smart and say that what I have in my home exceeds 5,000? And if you don't have anything in your house, remind yourself, you are more valuable than $5,000. So thus you would keep your door shut, even though if the chances are slim, but there is a chance that you are going to be. I see that one. I thought that was your serious face. That's all. So, the chances are that you're going to lose your life. Look at the stories, Carl. There's a story of a person who, two people that I know of the story of, that they had made a deal on Craigslist for a car or for some computer, and they went to just do that transaction, and they were killed and they were mugged. Like, think about it. Is it worth that? Is it worth 5 seconds of happiness for you to compromise your contacts, your photos, your family's photos, your children's photos? They may not take your photo, they might take your child's photo. And it could be used as an advertisement across the world. But people would say right now, Carl, what does that matter? Because anyone and everyone wants to be a YouTube celebrity. Look up on that article. There's an article that youngsters are more inclined to becoming YouTube celebrities than they are to doing an actual job. But at the end of the day, it's not called celebrity. It's called, what do you want to call that? It's a violation of privacy, and it's baiting. They're actually putting your photo out there. It's haram. It's not haram. It's bad. It's harmful, because at the end of the day, it could attract evil eye, evil thoughts, evil minds. I know the culture doesn't allow us to think this way, but that's why we're talking about it in this angle. People don't talk about it anymore. If someone's picture comes in the newspaper, like, hey, look, my picture was in the newspaper, I was right there. But your picture was in the newspaper. Allow that to sink in for a moment. And I know that might not for many people, but Carl, I want to turn it back to you and ask you, as we discussed, that there are trends that everyone jumps on the bandwagon. And my suggestion is, don't jump on the bandwagon of trends all the time. Number two, nothing is free, although it was free to download. Number three, compromising your personal space and your security by allowing them access to your personal information is very disruptive and disturbing at a time when your religion has taught you to uphold your privacy. So, Carl, what's your final thoughts on this tonight, on this topic, or what are our listeners telling us? Yes, everyone, look at Carl's Face app picture. He looks much better on the Face app picture than he does in person. If he makes that his matrimonial picture, I'm sure he's gonna get 1,000 likes. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. Carl, tell us.
Yes, sorry. I just was playing because we were talking about it, and I wanted to make sure other people got an opportunity to see it, so they didn't think we were totally crazy. But yes, no, you are correct. And I mean, one of the things you just talked about real quickly was the locker rooms. And I'll be 100% with you. I've never, even from a young age, and I know for me it stems around a lot of body issues, just overweight and unfit and things like that. But I've never been comfortable with that. People just being naked. And it's like, that's so weird. How can you be that comfortable being so exposed around strangers? And it's funny, as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, even in the military, when we had 2 showers for 100-something people, and we were sleeping, 6 people stacked on top of each other, nobody was naked. I mean, you might see somebody getting out of the shower to grab their towel, but nobody was naked. Nobody wandered around naked. Nobody stayed naked. We'd put our towel on. We'd put our underwear on while we shaved or when we went to bed or whatever. So even we had that level of cover up. But these guys that do, I've heard so many stories, these guys that just wander around the gym locker room just naked. It's like, bro, have a little bit of humility. That's really gross. Nobody wants to see that, man. And, honestly, I have a certain level of, and I don't know if you want to call me naive or whatever, but I have a certain level where I understand there is no privacy. I understand that no matter what, maybe it's the field that I work in, but I understand that everything is compromised.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that the CIA and the FBI listen to my phone calls. I am sure that people are reading my emails. Honestly, if you want a little bit of fear in your life and you want to panic and you want to just lock yourself in a closet, go watch the Snowden movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. And by the time you're done, I know when we finished watching it in my house, my wife was like, I'm going to put duct tape all over my computer.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the way things intersect and the way things go. But at what level do you say, this is the world we live in now? This is how we exist. This is our reality. We live in a Black Mirror episode versus I'm going to live off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me personally, I'm at a place where I'm okay giving up a little bit of my privacy. I'm okay giving up a little bit of my security.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with living in a light version of Black Mirror to have some of the creature comforts that I have, some of these first world toys, if you will, and no other, for lack of a better phrase. But we do have one other comment from superfan Sister Layla. She said she did the Face App challenge and it was nothing more than a harsh reality to her.
Ouch. Wow, that's honest and that's interesting. But Carl, truly, I understand that everything is compromised. But one thing is that it becomes so systematic that you give into it. That's really what I want to touch on. We're giving into it. You're giving into people running your lives, and you're like, you know what? What harm can it give to you? I heard that I actually read about this program ongoing in China where each person in the city, I don't know which city it was, I don't know if it's Shanghai or where, that they're allocating a number for that person. That number of the person is based on their financial and physical and footprint contribution to the city or the country. It's like a credit score
and their social media accounts.
and their social media. So like basically how valuable you are. And they are fearing because like when they have the security cameras like in subways and stuff, those people are walking and their numbers are on top of their head. It's like a stock market thing. And like if your value is high, then you're worth protecting. But if your value is low, then they can dispose of you basically. And an article that came out last week that talked about how this great shift in culture that's happening with global climate change and the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, saying really the rich people will survive this one, not the poor ones. This is not a matter of bankruptcy or losing your house. This is a matter of losing your life and access to food. I think today we just lost 3 million people lost food stamps, Carl. Based on Trump's budget deal, 326 billion and 3 billion of food stamps were canceled. Am I correct? Or SNAP?
No, I saw it, but I didn't read the details, and I wasn't sure it was official yet.
Mm. So there's people are going to be losing, and the question is, people who are accustomed to, like Imran Khan talked today in university, I think it was an interview where he was asked about he talked about what was shameful to him, and he talked about being reliant on aid Like people ask him what did he get from Saudi, what is he getting from America? He goes, I'm not here to get aid from the people. You know, it's the most shameful thing to live off of other people and their aid. He goes, we need to be self-sufficient, independent, ability to take care of ourselves. But in our country right now, and in Britain, where they just brought in a new prime minister, and I'm not going to talk about it. I know you're laughing there, Carl, but I'm not going to talk about it. You're hiding behind the microphone. Mr. Boris Johnson, the twin brother of our fellow president. It's it's scary times, and I say it's scary times because we don't realize how much change is occurring before our eyes, and we're blinded from it. Like we're blind from seeing it. So, this discussion could go on for a long time, but Carl, we just want to wrap this one up today and talk quickly about Spider-Man. So, Carl, tell me about Spider-Man. What's your thoughts about Spider-Man?
So I don't know how many of you follow Imam Azhar and myself in other places in the interwebs, but Imam Azhar posted a very interesting photo the other day, and it caught my attention 100%. And when I was talking about the great, earlier about, with great responsibility comes, or great power comes great responsibility, he actually held up what his photo was. I don't know if he'll do it again, but I wanted to know where here. I'll flip the cameras here in just a moment, but I wanted to know where he got these sneakers. Those
So these are
are absolutely awesome. Where did you get those?
so these are Spider-Man shoes. They're from Adidas, and interestingly, the other day I was looking for a pair of shoes for my child, and they had this countdown going on Adidas.com, and there's only 2 minutes left, and they said that these shoes are going to be launched. So I was like, okay. And as soon as it launched, I just grabbed a pair of them. They're Adidas Bounce basketball shoe issue number one, and they're the Spider-Man version. So these are in line with the new movie that just came out, the Spider-Man movie. They're gonna have another one of this, a version of this, which is the golden version. It's actually gonna launch. It looks a bit more like Iron Man, and that's gonna launch, I think, in a couple of weeks. You can find it on their website. It's just cool. It's Spidey shoes in a time when Spider-Man is traveling the globe in his latest movie. So yeah, an imam who has Spider-Man shoes, why not, right? Just come into the prayer quickly and then just spin a web and just run right out before the congregants could grab you and ask you questions. I think that's a swell good thing to do.
No, I will tell you, I saw those and I was in love instantaneously. But as you have said, we have reached. Oh, wait. Uh, oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sunshine. Sunshine just commented and said that the food stamp cut is still a proposal. It is not official yet.
Thank you, Sunshine. Thank
Yeah,
you.
which is what I was saying earlier because I know I saw it in my Twitter feed, but I wasn't sure if it was a real thing or not a real thing or I don't know what it was. And I'm actually glad she commented, so I know she's here tonight because I did see your post today, and you're still in the boot, and I think you said you have another couple of months now still with that lovely boot in the 100-degree weather and all the rain. So I wanted to again wish you a speedy recovery, and I hope you feel better soon. And I don't know much personally about. Next Tuesday she goes in to get the boot off and get re-examined.
Mhm.
So um, I, I I don't know much about that, and I hope that let's see, what is this? Fingers crossed for next Tuesday. Uh, I don't know much about what it takes for a Achilles tendon to heal, but I hope you're healed finally, and I hope you can get out of that thing because you've been. It seems like you've been dealing with that for like a year, as best I can
Amen.
tell.
Yeah, that's
So
not easy, especially with the weather as hot as it is right now in the Northeast and stuff. Everyone stay safe.
Absolutely. So with that, I'm messing up my computer here completely. With that, Imam Azhar, your final thoughts?
Final thoughts is there's a saying which many of you may not have heard anymore, and that's or ever heard before. And for those who've heard it, haven't heard it for quite a while, and that is old is gold. You know, there's been a way that the world has been functioning for a long time. That function incorporated core beliefs, incorporated social community, incorporated family and friends for those who followed religion. It was a very harmonious balance of how life was. It was where you took Kodak photos and you went to a dollar store where they processed them for 11.99 or 7.99, and those negatives were even given back to you, which meant that there was no trace of your photo in anyone else's hands. Then you brought it home and you bought one of those albums and then you opened that sticky sheet and stuck the photos onto it in a way that you would remember it. And that was life and that was privacy. There was a diary where you wrote your daily thoughts, and that diary was placed in a place where no one could access it. And that too with a lock or something that, it showed it was private. But we're living in a world today where social media is high, where social interaction is low, where privacy is considered backwards, and letting the world see your nude body is actually forward. And I'm saying that with great resentment because there's nothing off the table anymore when it comes to privacy, Carl. You share with people your food, your children, your kitten, your puppy. You share with them what time they took you out for a walk because they had to use the bathroom, like they had to go pee, or that you couldn't go to work today because you're sick and you put a picture of how you look at that time. We're all guilty of it one way or another. And yes, we're all falling and succumbing to the trends of the social media. And all I ask is that we reconsider what we're doing and reanalyze what's happening and not give in to it just because it's the norm. Because something becomes the norm when you allow it to become the norm. You have a mouth, that means you have a tongue, and that inshallah means you have a voice. Use that voice by making decisions that will help you and your children and your circle of friends and not hurt people. Carl?
So before I run into my business rant, Sunshine just commented and she said the way she deals with the boot in this heat and this weather is patience and chocolate. The answer is chocolate. We were looking for chocolate, Alex. Thank you very much. No, sorry. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode, although we went long tonight, of the Raw Islam podcast with Imam Azhar, brought to you by the VennNetwork. And speaking of the VennNetwork, if you'd like to support the network, head over to VennNetwork.org, where you can find all the past episodes. You can find other podcasts that are on the network, and you can get cool swag like what I'm wearing to help support the network, help support the hosts, and help support the shows, and help us reach a wider audience to bring this message bigger, better, and further. I don't know. I got tongue-tied there at the end. But, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you share this with a friend because we always like sharing. Sharing is caring, right? Speaking of social media, it's so weird to do a show. Be careful what you share on social media, but make sure you share this. It's so weird.
Yes, that's beneficial. It's beneficial.
It's
and
beneficial.
Conversation.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we will say, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.